Hey y'all, it's me, Joseph Landriscina, and I would like to start off my new section of my video channel, my YouTube channel. In this video channel, I will be talking about things that are important to those with disabilities and such, because you can't really just talk about disability like a singular thing. There are a bunch of other topics that you can talk about pertaining to disability and such. And it's not just one big conglomeration of blob of something. It'd be like talking about like race or politics, for example. There's no one singular entity for it. So, of course, I will talk about movie reviews, book reviews, and other such fun topics like video games and movies, of course, and individual people and stuff like that. But for right now, I'm just gonna talk about disabilities. Now, remember, I can only base my disability talking points on my own experiences and my observations of those experiences. So, in this first episode of Disability Talks, I will be talking about what I consider to be visible disabilities in contrast with hidden disabilities or invisible disabilities, but I'll get more into that in my next video on this topic. But for right now, I am a person with a visible disability. Now, someone might say, "No shit. You see the walker over there? That's my Bessie. That was from my high school days. Elementary high school days. Like something like 20 years ago, and it's still doing pretty good. I think that it's because it was made by the Amish, the lifting company, and they build stuff that's tough. But besides that walker, I use things like wheelchairs and scooters. And one time, my therapist tried to get me to use crutches, which uh, because of my physical disability and because of my poor coordination and balance, didn't go over so well. I don't have video footage for that, but it was still pretty, almost kind of funny. It wasn't like the same type of thing from Mad Max Fury Road, but it was pretty awkward. It was more or less like the guy from Mouse Hunt. I forgot his name offhand, but you know what I'm talking about if you've seen the movie. But anyway, I should also point out that my realtor company was is the very funnily named Quickie realtor company, which make of that of what you will, but it is funny. It took me a long time to figure out what that meant and why people would find it funny, but yeah, whatever. I'm not perfect. I don't get a joke right off the bat. So, what would you consider? Why would I think I have a visible disability? Well, it's pretty obvious. What I would consider a visible disability is any disability that you could see from a distance, and you could say that person is disabled in some way, shape, or form. So things like wheelchairs, scooters, walkers, crutches, someone that has amputations on their bodies, someone who has disfigurement somehow. Like for example, my mother, when she was born, she had like a hair lip, and that would have made like living hell if she had if they didn't fix it up right away, or anything else that you could tell from a distance person is disabled. Now that being said, people who are deaf or people who are blind, who wear sunglasses all the time, I wouldn't consider them a visible disability. Nor would I consider people that have like a cochlear implant or say like a hearing aid per se as being a visible person because you have to get really up close to be able to find out about that, or they would just tell you right offhand. So we have to get more up close and personal level, like a 1 or 2 foot distance to be able to see that. So that wouldn't count for anything in my book as a hidden as a visible disability. But that just begs the question: would you consider someone that is obese or morbidly obese that have a visible disability? And the answer to that is yes. Yes, I would, but only in if the cause of the obesity is because of say a genetic defect or or some other type of maybe cancer. It's not because of cancer or something, or because of poor metabolism. I would not consider the people who eat junk food and eat garbage the whole every day, all day. That's on them. That's on themselves. That overeating and stuff like that's not considered disability. You don't need to make people who have them be closer to the grocery store in a handicap spot. Okay? Now, the reason why I make a differentiation between those with visible disabilities and those that do not have that have hidden disabilities or invisible disabilities is very simple. Because as a person with a very visible disability, I have noticed that I'm treated very differently than someone with an invisible one. For example, if I go into say the supermarket or something like that, I will no one knows me in the area. People will automatically assume that I have that I am MR, that I be mentally retarded, and that would be the cause for my disability. Whereas if someone goes into a store like the same store with a physical disability, with an invisible disability, I mean, and they were to go into like they would interact with people and stuff, they wouldn't assume right off the bat that anything was wrong with them. They would just look at that person and say, No, that it's fine and dandy, no lie. But whereas at me, they would give me the, the soulful look of, I'm sorry, you went through all that, fight your fight, and they might try to offer me free candy or free whatever, but they might think that a person like me would like until I open my mouth and I realize that, hey, he's not a complete more a complete drooling idiot at all. You know. Also, for the same matter, I remember going to a casino this one time with my father. Of course, I was of age at the time, but people didn't realize that I was up and up in intelligence, so they assumed that that I was mentally retarded, slow and all that stuff. So I go over to the casino table and I start winning, and people start calling me Rain Man, like, from the movie Rain Man, obviously, because I kept doing really well at the casino game, the blind game, I should say. Even though I'm not really that skilled at counting cards, I can make inferences, but I can't really count them in a professional sense. But more on topic. Maybe let me see how should I put this. I'm gonna get to the point more with the racism angle, but think of it like this. Um, in the Asian countries, Japan, China, Taiwan, um, the Philippines, Thailand, Vietnam, all other countries in East and Southeast Asia, the people there are more or less like judged judged and ranked based on their skin color. The same could be said for India too. The people are ranked based on how light their skin is. It's kind of like that. It's like in society, like we people who are visibly disabled, like amputees and people who use crutches and other mobile equipment stuff, they are more treated like I don't want to say it's like classism, more um not as high valued as someone with invisible disability because of all the extra effort to hang out with, to deal with someone with a physical disability or more mobility issues. Case in point, I wasn't invited to anything when I was a kid in school, probably because you know there'd be that much effort that we put into than than uh, than inviting someone that wasn't a physically disabled person. And the people who are invisible disabilities versus they get treated much better like people who are of lighter skin in Asian countries. Moreover than that, to add to that, people in people with mobility issues are more often targets of, say, mean people. And when I say mean people, I mean people who try to number one ostracize us. Number two, pick on us and name call us. I recently talked to someone who knew someone else that called me Bird Boy. Now, today, I don't know if it's that to be like a big insult, like it's more comical than anything else. Haha, Bird Boy, haha. I don't care. But the thing of it is that upon reflection upon this, I that maybe the person was referring to me like that because of my voice and my movement, range and stuff, much like that of a bird, like Frankenstein's bride. Anyway, besides that, the first one with a visible disability like myself, or like other people with wheelchairs or scooters and stuff, is also obviously mobility. But this has additional problems for people like me too. For example, anybody without a visible disability or a normal person would have a problem with say going outside in inclement weather. Like, we have to be very careful about what we can and cannot do outside, and therefore we have to prepare in advance for it, something like that. Whereas somebody else could just go in there, whatever building they want to without any type of problem, without these sort of problem and the normal than I would say. Moreover, public bathrooms can be a real challenge for us too. Just a simple act of using the bathroom sold in a place can be a bit of a challenge. Now, I just recently seen something where a girl had to use the bathroom, and then as always she had to wash her hands. Makes sense, right? But for someone with a visible disability, that could be a very big challenge because this girl had to deal with um she had to deal with not being able to reach the soap dispenser on the wall. To anybody else that'd be like no big deal. Just hit the soap button and that's it. But she couldn't reach it. Now, fortunately, I have a range of motion that allows me to get up off my chair every once in a while to do something like that. But for someone like that, I couldn't imagine living like that without assistance, of course. So that is that. And then there were also people who when I was walking around in school, and I'm sure there are jerks out there that would do this in real life, but not that I found out so far, is that they tend to trip me up on purpose, and they try to try to make obstacles for me and stuff like that, which I'm sure they probably grew out of it. I hope they grew out of it. And besides all that, people with disabilities that require mobile equipment to use and stuff also have a problem with different terrain. For example, if you if you move into like a mountainous area, you're gonna be doomed unless you have that kind of equipment, or unless you're stable enough that you can move around it without having to worry about anything. But for the most part, it pretty much sucks because a scooter like mine it's great, but there are certain limitations on it. Like for example, the wheels are only big enough that they can handle a certain amount of incline, and if not, the anti-tip bars in the back defeat the purpose about going up a hill, so you can't do it. Also, like I said, they're very bad in inclement weather. You have no idea how many times a freak storm, a freak rainstorm has screwed up my power chair back when I was in Stony Brook. Much like say Stephen Harding type of style wheelchair, a big bulky type wheelchair. And let's see here. There's also the little matter of power outage in a power chair or wheelchair or any type of device that uses electricity, because someone who has a invisible disability doesn't have to worry about that. They can just go about their day and their stuff, however long it takes for them to go around town. But whereas for me and for other people with electronic equipment, if that charge is not good enough to go anywhere and they stop dead in the tracks, that's it. They have to get recharged. They have to get other people to help them out. And that really sucks because I'm like, I want to go somewhere. I want to go out. I want to go to check out, or I want to go to wherever I want to go shopping. I want to go to the movies. I want to go there or there. It's that power isn't out. We're dead. We're dead in the water. So we have to be careful about that. We have to be mindful of that too. Kind of like being with a electric car. And yeah, I'll talk more about that winter thing in another video, along with what I call terrorist challenge. That's gonna be real fun when I talk about that, because I put this poor girl through the ringer. Now, also, with terrain issues, for example, I talked about the mountains, but I gotta be careful with the mountains. But I can go to the mountains within reason. I can go up to mountains and stuff because they have solid ground, except during rainstorms, of course. But then you got the beach. For one thing, I love the beach. I love the feeling of sand on my body, like the feeling of going in the ocean. But I can't do that. I can't do that on my own. I have to have someone with me, whether it be a friend or family members or whatnot. For the simple reason that if I were to go on the beach by myself, I would run the heavy risk of getting stuck in the sand, and then I would have to have someone else push me or I would have to get out myself. And luckily there are many people out there that do help out and stuff. Also, I should also point out that I don't count people who have disabilities for the people who are like uh who are say like jocks who temporarily break the leg, the arm or something, and they have 100 people to help them out. That's really not what I'm considering yet a visible disability, because that's kind of like cheating. You know, that you're gonna be laid up for a short amount of time, relatively, like maybe a week or a month or something like that. So plus you have everyone else do stuff for you. So that really does count my book. They now I have been blessed that that I have a range of motion similar to that of an average person. So I am grateful for that. But there are people who have more it's called locked in syndrome, even though they are not completely frozen in place like Stephen Hawking. I think because who have who are like that, who have some mobility and who can get up and stuff, but you don't have the endurance for it. Also, for example, there's a reason why I picked a scooter to go around rather than a power chair like Park did. Number one, chair the scooter is a hell of a lot cheaper to get, because I remember that my power chair was $20,000 because it reclined a little bit. That's a hell of a lot of money for a wheelchair. You know, the scooter is far less than that, even without insurance. But besides that, um, I'll get into that in a second too. But but there's more of a stigma against people in big power chairs like that, for the reason that it, those people are treated even worse by society than people who use a scooter, because then people assume that that you are mentally retarded and you can't do anything. You're stuck in one position for your entire life or close to it. You really can't do that much. You can't really. You can only. Well, people probably assume that because Stephen Hawking was a very famous guy, that everyone in that position is in a you know uh, they're in the same position that they have to use a voice modulator, voice a speaking box to actually emote what they're trying to say and stuff, like Hawking. Whereas I can think of people who are very intelligent and stuff. But that's not to say that all people in wheelchairs are are all like that. But it's kind of like when you get a kid that just stares at you all the time and you don't really like it that much, and then talk, the awkward stuff that they look at you all the time, and even worse when it's an adult that does that. But that's the point. I think that we've gotten past that point. So to avoid that stigma and make myself look cooler, I use a scooter, or if I would get my endurance up, I would use that walk right there if I were to go outside. Only in like flat only in like flat terrain or like a store or something. Now for my next point, the equipment that you use to get around with, like scooters, crutches, wheelchairs, power unpowered, or anything else. For the most part, if you go for like a low end thing, they're fairly reasonable pricing as far as insurance goes and stuff. But some of the equipment costs a damn fortune. Some of it costs like as much as a car or a down payment on a house. How much it costs. I mentioned $20,000 for a power chair, but I've seen them go for more money than that. More money if I were a bigger boy than what I am now. I weigh like about 130, 140, something around there. But if I were like somewhere around 300 pounds or something, the scooters would definitely be a lot more money. Also, they're fairly cheap, like glasses and stuff. I wouldn't consider them a visible disability because everyone has them. Well, a lot of people have them at least, and 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 also anybody can wear glasses, so you don't really know per se if that person is using glasses just because they're disabled or because they're you want to be fashionable or just like reading glasses or something like that. So that kind of mobility issue. So what you're saying is to be able to go anywhere or having fun or meet someone or whatever, to have a mobile device to someone like me just to get around with. It's like say that you gotta pay more money. You gotta be put through more hoops, more misery, just to have everyday experience like everyone else. That's complete shit. Okay. Let me give you for example. I was gonna get a new scooter through insurance. And my old one was 10% old and kind of falling apart, a little rusty too. My family and I decided to try to get another one through insurance, and we did eventually get it. But number one, it was smaller and Mom used to, and I couldn't go outside because of the small wheels, and the power wasn't as good either. Besides that, it took me at least 6 months to get the damn thing due because of all the paperwork and this and that and the other thing too. Regardless of whether it was related to the COVID times or something like that, but it took me 6 months to get a new scooter, which if I were going to a job on a regular basis or going outside on a regular basis, that'd be a freaking nightmare to deal with. Getting a new scooter, whereas you had to rely on old unreliable stuff too. So they had to wait 6 months. So I asked my father, would you think we should put in the request for a new scooter after this, so that 6 months down the pipeline I would get my scooter when this one started go. That's why everyone in a scooter situation or wheelchair situation has to be on top of things more than your average person. Because mobility is key for anything. Now, this is another point that I have to make about disability. Now, this may not be for everyone or every building or something like that, but did you ever notice that whenever you go into a building, you know, little handicap buttons push to, get the door open up for you? Those are meant for handicapped people, but, other people do too. I don't know much about that, but I noticed that for many of uh, these buildings, the handicap opening tends to be on either side of the building, or not the main entrance, the main doors. So my mean is that you have a row of, like, say, four doors that lead to a building. Some of them will, some of the buildings will have it just on number 4, and the other got a regular doors. That's really not that big of an issue, as much as back in college. Again, it's sort of about university. I used to have to go into certain buildings, and they would have the handicap doors there, but they would often have doors on the back side of the buildings. So this is kind of more or less like hard to deal with, because number one, you have to make extra time to go around the back of the building, and number two, the the back of the building wasn't as well maintained as the front of the building was. So in the case of winter, I'll go into more depth later on. But in the case of winter, you know, I had to get off the bus, the handicap bus, in a freezing cold, by the way, and then deal with a pile of snow in the parking lot, in all the spots, in that curb cutouts to, like, get on the sidewalk. And then I would have to go into the the building in the back. This actually reminds me more or less of remember back in history when, like, used to have entrances in the back of buildings because it was only white only in the front, and that the the um the black entrances weren't as well maintained, along with the bathrooms and stuff like that. In fact, there was this one time when there was so much snow on the ground that when I went into the building, I had collected so much snow on my scooter that I even said to my friends, "Hey, you want to throw some snowballs at the teacher?" To which he obviously laughed it off. But yeah, there was a lot of snow on me, and I did complain to the the um the staff in charge of that, during the main you know during at school. I complained about it then, and he took care of it, But yeah, there were also other little things too with my administrators and all the other stuff too, both in high school and in in college. But I'll get more into that some other time. But for right now, I hope you enjoyed my little rant about visible disabilities. Next time I will talk about invisible or hidden disabilities. And if this to the introduction, so there might be a few things I might have missed or gone over, or that I'm gonna go over eventually, and that there are some other important things, like forgetting my past history and my poor experiences with those people and ministers and such like that. Oh yeah, one other fun thing I used to do, that one I could do. Okay, you gotta take the phone when you can get it. Where motorcycle people would often have their girlfriends or their wives right in the back behind them, and then get like a little thrill out of it. Well, I would do the same thing with my aides in college. The first time I went to college, and that was especially fun because it was all pretty women. I mean, I wouldn't do the same thing with men, but that's and they enjoy doing it too. Although one of them thought she would take advantage of me, but that's besides the point. It was really fun to do. Anyway, if you have any more questions, comments, or anything else, I will leave my contact information as such for the video. My email is jjsviewingchannel at gmail.com. My number is 631-707-3707, and my Twitter account is PNelsonPro. So yeah. So remember, be kind to one another, be nice to one another, and salute all of you guys, and have fun.